welcome to another episode of Tea Time with the Bible. My name is Piladi, but commonly known as Miss P. Thank you so much to any new subscribers for joining us today. To my regulars, you know that you're always welcomed here. With that said, please continue to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please do not forget to hit that notification button as well. So today I will actually be reading from the book of Exodus. I'll be reading 14 verse 21. So it reads as follows. Moses stretched out his hand towards the sea, and the Lord drove the sea apart by a strong east wind all that night. And he made the sea into dry land, and the water was divided. So for those of you who do not know the story of Moses, growing up, I watched so many Christian-based, movies. So this was one of the movies that always, captured my attention because it was so intriguing. So basically what happens here, this is where we get to, meet this, this person named Moses. And it was a time when the Israelites were slaves in Egypt under the authority of a king named Pharaoh. And during that time it was a very tough time for the Israelites, and they worshipped and prayed to God that he takes them out of this the storm, so that they can also be freed. And that is a promise God made to the people of Israelites, that I will one day set you free from everything that is happening there in Egypt. So God kept his promise. He sent his son Moses to actually, free the Israelites. And during that time, Pharaoh was not happy about it, because there were certain stages that happened. God sent Moses to, help with whatever that was going on in, Egypt. So there were a lot of pledges that happened before Pharaoh was like, okay, you know what, take your people, because it came to a point where God kept saying that let my people go. And obviously Pharaoh was a very arrogant king. He didn't want that, but at the end of the day he let them go, and the Israelites were led by Moses, which in this part that I just read, this is the part where now Moses and the Israelites were journeying, and they come across the Red Sea. And once they are there, they don't have boats or anything like that. So they're like, okay, what happens now? You can't even swim across the sea. And this is where God, performed the most amazing miracle ever, using Moses. He parted the Red Sea. You can imagine how the Israelites felt, at that moment, seeing this thing right there happen before their eyes, seeing the sea actually being divided, just by God's power, God's strength. And with that said, you can imagine, like, how many times has God actually parted the sea for you? And I'm not speaking about dividing the water just like in Moses' time, but how many times has God actually parted the sea for you, in terms of how many times have you been through a certain struggle or a tribulation where you felt like you can't even escape it, and God rescues you over and over again, And with that said, I want you to hold on to that thought. In the book of Exodus still 16 verse 3, it says, the Israelites said to them, this is when the Israelites are now speaking to Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, when we ate bread to the full, for you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. So you see, even though God showed the Israelites that this is what I'm doing for you, he showed them so many miracles, it came to a point where they started being in doubt, even though they saw so many miracles, which comes to show even with us today, God does so many things for us, but we still get creeped out with doubt. We get creeped by so many worldly things that are happening around us, and which comes to show that this is still happening till this day. Things that happened back then are still happening today, just like with the Israelites. You can imagine seeing, witnessing the Red Sea actually being parted, witnessing God actually doing so many miraculous things over and over, but they were still in so much doubt. You understand? And this is something that happens to us till this day. God will save you from so many storms over and over again, but when another storm comes, we are in doubt again as to why is this happening to me and things like that. So it is honestly a journey. Walking by faith and not by sight is not the easiest of things, but at the same time, we need to sometimes, sit back and actually reflect on the goodness of God, because at the end of the day, God kept his promise. He did take the Israelites out of Egypt, and even after taking them out of Egypt, he did not abandon them nor forsake them. He was still there with them. Even after they were in doubt, God was still with them. Just like, with us, at times we are so doubtful, but he is still there. God's grace is forever sufficient. That is one thing you need to understand, that even on days where you feel like, you're in doubt, even on days when you feel like, oh my, God is not here, he is still there. Why? Because he is a faithful Father, because he is not like us. His promises are he always delivers on his promises. And that is one thing you need, to reflect on, and maybe you've had a very tough year this year and things have been going south, but reflect on those things that God has pulled you out of. Reflect on him and be grateful for what you have. It could be the smallest of smallest things. For example, be grateful that you're still alive till this day. Be grateful that maybe, for example, you passed an exam. If you're in school, be grateful for those things. Be grateful that you still have your family or your friends or people out there who've helped you along the way. Family is not just the blood. Family can be a stranger. A person out of nowhere can just help you with something. Be grateful for those small things, because at the end of the day, how do you expect God to bless you with something bigger if you're not grateful for the small things that he gives you? I think I've spoken about this before. So with that light, so basically, that is the verse of this week. Sit down and reflect and ask yourself, how many times has God parted the sea for you? How many times has he taken you out of that struggle, that situation? And just be grateful for what he has blessed you with today, so that he can bless you with way more. Faith is way stronger than what the eye can see. Like, that is one thing I want you to take with you and reflect on, because it is not it's not an easy journey, but walking with faith, walking with God is way better than walking by sight. And that is something I want you to take with you this week. And just reflect on that, knowing that at times, yes, you'll be in doubt, but God's grace is forever sufficient. So that is the verse of this week. So if anything, just be grateful for what you have achieved this year, big or small. Be grateful. Always praise God, always worship God, even during the storm, because it will get quiet. The storm will subside at the end of the day, because why? God's grace is sufficient. God is a loving Father. So that is the verse of this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Please continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please, guys, let's engage. Like, comment, just say how you feel and so on. But that is it from my side. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, bye.